Many years from now, when historians look back at America in this age of Trump, there will be many, many examples of inflection points through which our society made its descent into fascism, if that's sadly where we end up. Well, 1 week ago tonight, the abduction of Mahmoud Khalil by the U.S. government will be one of those moments, and it was captured on camera. This is the footage that was released Friday night by the ACLU. Watch.
What? You're going to be under arrest. So turn around.
Okay,
Stop
let's
resisting.
not.
Stop resisting.
Okay, he's not resisting. He's giving me his phone. Okay, he's not. I understand. He's not resisting.
Put your arm
Like,
There's no need for this.
don't worry about it. You're going to have to come with us. Don't worry.
I'm coming with you. No worries.
No one's resisting. No one's getting worked up.
you guys really don't need to be doing all of that.
That's it.
It's fine.
حبيبي كيف بدي اتصل فيك؟
Take Amy. Call Amy. She'll be
Okay. Hi, Amy. Yeah, they just like handcuffed him and took him. I don't know what to do.
And the voice that you heard pleading with government agents there is Khalil's wife, Noor Abdullah. She was born and raised in Flint, Michigan. She is 8 months pregnant with their first child. She now faces the prospect of giving birth while her husband, who has not been charged with any crime and is a legal permanent resident of this country, sits in an ICE detention facility in Louisiana under threat of deportation. Watching this is chilling. Plainclothes police officers, one appearing to be wearing a Marvel T-shirt with no warrant and refusing to give their names. Mahmoud Khalil is a Palestinian refugee raised in war-torn Syria who somehow made his way legally to an elite university here in the United States, where he was set to graduate with a master's degree. He became a public spokesperson and leader on campus, challenging the U.S. government's support for Israel's onslaught on Gaza. And now he has been snatched from a university residence hall while his wife looks on helplessly. All for the crime of criticizing American foreign policy in the Middle East. And to justify Khalil's arrest, the Trump administration cited an obscure foreign policy clause that allows the Secretary of State to deport foreign nationals whom it deems basically threaten national security. Now think about this for a second. Marco Rubio, who reports seem to indicate is just Secretary of State in name only, is now alleging that this Columbia University grad student is a threat to American foreign policy. If only protesting college students had this much power. Students around the country have been protesting what most human rights groups have called Israel's genocide in Gaza. They have been demanding their universities divest from companies that have handed in it. Despite their protests, the Biden administration continued supporting it. And now the Trump administration wants America to take over Gaza and build resorts. Honestly, we'd be much better off if those protesting students were somehow actually jeopardizing American foreign policy or could actually change it. The Trump administration's inability to lay out a legitimate case against Khalil was on display this week when DHS official Troy Edgar struggled to give a basic, coherent answer to NPR.
He's a legal permanent resident. I have to keep insisting on it. He is a legal permanent resident. So what is the standard? Is any criticism of the Israeli government a deportable offense?
Like I said, I think that at this point, when he was entered into the country on a student visa, at any point we can go through and evaluate what his status is, and the Secretary of State
is any criticism of the United States government a deportable offense?
Like I said, if you go through the process and you're a student and you're here on a visa and you go through at any point,
is any criticism of the government a deportable offense?
Edgar also conflated Mahmoud Khalil's pro-Palestinian activism with being supportive of Hamas, which the U.S. government classifies as a terrorist organization. First of all, and it's important to be very clear about this, the U.S. government has not presented any evidence, and there has been no evidence of this so far. And the conflation of those supporting Palestinian rights with being supportive of terrorism is an ugly rhetorical attack. Secondly, if someone were to vocally support Hamas or any other organizations deemed terrorist by the United States, That is protected by the First Amendment too, even if we don't like it. And finally, there's a double standard on this so-called material support to Hamas. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu infamously propped up Hamas with billions of dollars of funding through the Qatari government over the course of a decade in order to divide and conquer different Palestinian factions. And despite that material support for Hamas, he is actually welcomed into the U.S. with open arms. And whatever you think of Israel or Palestine, or whether you don't think about the Middle East at all, this case matters. This name, Mahmoud Khalil, and the legal fight that it will certainly birth going forward will define America for generations to come. It could be the legal case that forces our people, our institutions, and our judiciary to actually defend our country, our free speech, and our civil liberties from fascistic authoritarian rule. Or it could be the case through which fascism and totalitarianism are normalized under the guise of preserving law and order on college campuses or combating hate, all to shield a foreign country from facing legitimate critiques over its human rights practices. And regardless of the long-term outcome, we are seeing in real time every day how the cowardice and the silence of elected officials, those so-called free speech warriors aligning with lobbying groups that are masquerading as civil rights organizations in this country and so-called campus safety monitors, we now see how they can erode our civil liberties if we, the society, the politicians, the media, sit by, do nothing, abandon our vigilance, and betray our responsibilities.